Okay, let's dive right in. Now, if you're tuned into this topic, you've probably heard a ton about spiritual warfare. You know the theology, right? You've heard the sermons. But step into the shadows with me for this explainer, because we are uncovering a truly chilling reality today. The spiritual war you've been fighting your entire life, it isn't happening up in the clouds somewhere. It's happening right here, right now, literally inside your own biology. Welcome to our deep dive into the hidden architecture of the human temple and how to actually become a warrior for the source of all. I want you to take a quick inventory of your body right at this very second. You're probably chest breathing. Your jaw might be a little clenched. Your shoulders are probably creeping up towards your ears. And you might be completely unaware that the real enemy isn't some external force waving a pitchfork. Actually, it's the static humming inside your own high beta survival state. Our modern world keeps our nervous systems running at like 3,000 RPMs. Whether it's doom scrolling, gridlock traffic, or just dealing with your endless inbox, that everyday hum is exactly how the divine signal gets jammed.
You know, the ancient desert fathers, like Abba Anthony, understood this brilliantly. They retreated from the noise of society because they knew spiritual warfare wasn't about theatrical shouting or dramatic posturing in front of a crowd. No, it was a quiet, high-stakes psychological thriller that you fight internally until your final breath. You don't just defeat the enemy once and for all and get to retire to a beach. You learn to hold your ground, expecting the temptation, and maintaining your internal posture every single day. So let's break down the crime scene in Section 1, the anatomy of the battlefield.
To really grasp this, we have to figure out why our spiritual armor just doesn't seem to fit us anymore. There's this stark contrast happening inside you at all times. On one side, we have your hijacked, cortisol-flooded animal soul. This is your sympathetic nervous system locked completely in survival mode. And the animal soul, it loves managed religion because it's safe, it's predictable, it's a neat little box of rules that doesn't demand you actually change your internal frequency. But on the other side is the divine soul. This operates in the coherent, highly receptive theta brainwave state. This is where the creator's raw, unclouded signal can actually be heard, way down beneath the static of our everyday anxiety.
And here is the absolutely crucial point. You cannot put on spiritual armor when your body is in convulsions. The brilliant twist of this battlefield is that you're just swinging blindly at shadows if you try to fight while your nervous system is trapped in a state of hyperventilation. I mean, imagine trying to thread a needle while sprinting on a treadmill. It's literally impossible. The armor of God requires a body at peace to actually fit. Think of the neshama like a classified, implanted receiver located right inside your chest. In the ancient texts, neshama literally translates to the divine breath. It is a direct, hardwired link to the Creator's frequency, and the enemy is desperately trying to jam this built-in receiver with the sheer noise, anxiety, and volume of modern managed existence. If the enemy keeps you stressed out, well, the receiver stays blocked, and you're effectively neutralized without a single punch even being thrown. This leads us perfectly into Section 2, the weapon of breath. In those ancient texts, the word ruach means spirit, breath, and wind, all at the exact same time. The implication here is absolutely huge, and it completely shifts how we approach this war. Breath isn't just some poetic metaphor for the spiritual life, it's the actual vehicle for the spirit. Controlling your breath is the precise biological mechanism that shifts your body out of that frantic beta state and into a visionary, receptive theta state. This isn't New Age meditation, guys. This is tactical biology. By grounding yourself using the cold, hard, physiological steps of coherent breathing, you completely change your state. You just inhale quietly through the nose for 5 seconds and exhale smoothly through the nose for 5 seconds. By doing this continuous flow, you force your vagus nerve to slam the brakes on your fight or flight response, you're lowering your heart rate, dropping cortisol, and literally putting the spiritual armor on your biology before the battle even kicks off. All right, moving deeper into the shadows with Section 3, Starving the Animal Soul. This brings us to Tzom, or fasting. Now, fasting isn't a diet. It acts as a tactical starvation of the animal soul's constant, incredibly loud demands for comfort. Think about it. We constantly use food as our primary biological anesthesia. The grazing, the snacking, those quick sugar rushes, we use all of it to numb out stress and get cheap dopamine hits. By deliberately removing that anesthesia, you strip the biology back to its raw, clean design. You break the flesh's grip so that divine receiver can fully power up. And paired perfectly with fasting is Rafaha. Rafaha translates to stillness, but it literally means to let drop or let sink. It is the unsettling command to finally put down your defensive guard. Seriously, take a second right now. Drop your jaw. Unclench your fists. Let your shoulders sink.
because the Creator cannot fight for you while you are completely braced for impact. You absolutely have to physically release your muscular holding patterns of anxiety.
Now we bring out the heavy artillery in Section 4, the Sword of the Spirit. Once the body is settled and the animal soul is starved, we can finally introduce the only offensive weapon in this hidden arsenal. We are talking about the Devar, the Word. But listen, this isn't just a book you casually read for historical context. The Devar is your classified intelligence briefing. It's a frequency weapon that acts as a spiritual scalpel, systematically dismantling the high-placed strongholds in your mind. We're talking about those toxic reasoning structures, the deep-seated imposter syndrome, the cynical thought loops, and the endless anxieties that govern your everyday reactions.
So how do you actually use this weapon? You use the ancient practice of Haga, or sacred rumination. This is radically different from our modern habit of speed reading or doom scrolling for information. You don't just read a whole chapter. You prepare your body with breath and stillness. You read a single short passage very slowly, and you stop at the very first word that grips you. You act like a detective holding a single clue, interrogating it until it yields the deep source code of reality. You don't just read the word, you let the word read you. Bringing all these ciphers together, we arrive at Section 5, the stance of the warrior. Ancient Hasidic texts reveal a really fascinating contrast about our true identity in this war. They contrast the tzaddik, the righteous person who has completely conquered their dark inclinations and feels no battle at all, with the Benoni. The Benoni is the warrior who feels every single inch of the fight, every single day, but just continuously refuses to surrender. This is so encouraging, right? Because it means true victory isn't the absence of struggle. It's the gritty, unyielding posture of the Benoni. The struggle itself is the victory. And mastering that stance, that makes you a Gibor. The Gibor is the ultimate spiritual warrior. This is someone whose nervous system is so profoundly settled, whose body is so meticulously aligned through daily practice, that they conquer their own impulses. They maintain that interior receiver despite all the chaos, the emails, and the cultural noise unfolding around them. They become a living, breathing conductor for the Creator's power. So here is your daily tactical briefing, the rule of the living temple. Morning is your foundation. You use coherent breathing and scripture to set your will before the world tries to hijack it. Midday is the altar. When the day's stress hits its absolute peak, you do a quick box breathing session and a heart check to clear any blockages. In evening is the descent. You use extended breathwork and stillness to shift into a deep, receptive state before sleep, countering the anxiety of tomorrow. This is the exact architecture required to keep your biological receiver tuned strictly to the divine signal. So, here's your mission. You carry a hidden name on a white stone, a name meant only for you, waiting at the end of this refinement. Stop reading. Drop your shoulders right now. Take a deep 5-second breath in through your nose. The signal is broadcasting. But the ultimate question is, now that you know the real battlefield is inside your own nervous system, what are you going to do to take your temple back?